do, playboys and girls? Welcome to the podcast, the Pride, Pretzels, and Prison podcast, the number one place for the most passionate Eagles coverage. I'm your host, Dan the Man. We're brought to you by Miller Service Center and Gap, 717-442-8285. Here's the situation. Listen, you guys should know by now. We don't josh you guys, all right? We don't yank anybody's chains, all right? We don't pull any punches. The product that the Eagles put on the field this year was subpar. You had one win over 500 by virtue of a 17-game season. You lost to the Giants. You got swept by the girls. And you proved in the playoffs you had no business being there. For all the positives we can take away, this season and the product that was out there isn't going to cut it. Okay, and life is short. Nobody wants to wait through a rebuild. So what do we do to be contenders? I'm glad you asked. Tonight's episode, we're going to go over a 5-step plan to tackle this offseason, and we're going to figure out exactly how to go from a 7 seed to a real contender next year. All that coming up next. Let's go! Alright, so you want to win, and you want to win now. Great. Me too. Let's talk about how. 5 easy steps. Step number 1, clear that cap. We got about $14 million of cap going into this offseason. In the free agency, that's not going to cut it. All right, we have a couple of guys we got to re-sign. We got a ton of people we got to bring in. All right, we got positions we got to fill. So we can go from 14 to about 30 in a couple of moves. Step 1, we got to extend Darius Slay. He's going to be due for an extension at the end of this season, this upcoming season anyway. So next offseason, he's going to want an extension. He played pretty well this year. He's the only cornerback you got. We go ahead, we extend him. That's going to open up $12 million in cap. Okay, the next one is a tough pill to swallow. I love Brandon Brooks. All right, but I think he's played, 3 games in the last 2 seasons. He's only getting older, and like I said, I think he's only played 3 games. So if you cut him, that's $13.5 million. You got 5.9 in dead cap, but man, that's a lot of money to open up when you have a lot of young guys on this offensive line. Same thing on the offensive line, Samalo. You can cut or trade him. I don't know if you're going to trade him, but even if you got to cut him, that's almost $6 million. You got guys like Driscoll and Dickerson. You're probably going to have to sign, or probably going to re-sign Nate Herbig. So you've got some depth on the offensive line. Jordan Mailata is one of the best linemen in football. You still have, obviously, Lane Johnson. We're going to talk about bringing Jason Kelce back. So if you do something with Samalo, that's almost $6 million. Derek Barnett, you got to let him walk. First of all, he's a stooge. All right? Second of all, he's fucking us over all the time. Third of all, he's unproductive. And fourth of all, $7.3 million cap. All right? Finally, trade Andre Dillard. Again, you have enough depth on the offensive line. You got some really talented young guys, some guys on the rise. There's another $2.2 million. I think if you package him with some draft capital, you can get a good return for him. And also, that's another $2 million. So step 1, we added about $16 million to the cap. That gives us $30 million to work with. That's going to move us right into step 2, which is re-signing our free agents. Now, the first person we're going to talk about is not actually a free agent, okay? But he's the most important person we have to bring back. That's Jason Kelce. No, he's not going to be a free agent, but he could retire. He's got to come back. He's the life and soul of this team, of this offense, of this offensive line. All right, so whatever you got to do to bring him back, that's priority number 1. All right. You have McLeod, Harris, and Nelson. We talked about this in the last giant. You're probably going to have to bring back at least one of them. You just need too much. You need too many people in the secondary. You have too many positions to fill. So for the right price, I think you got to bring back at least one of them. Same thing with Boston Scott and Jordan Howard. Boston Scott, as Kate would say, we're big Boston Scott fans. Believe me, we are. All right. And he's had a lot of huge moments here, but cap space is tight, We've got some depth there. We're going to talk about some other people in free agency and draft we can bring at that position. So if you can get one or the other for a decent price, it's probably worth doing. But listen, times are getting tough. Jalen Hurts is going to be due for an extension next year. You've only got 2 years left on his rookie deal. So cap space is at a premium right now if you want to make a run right now. So we're going to have to make some tough decisions. Nate Herbig, I have been told that you have to bring him back. Personally, I didn't care for him. I don't want him playing center. Maybe guard. He is versatile, but I don't like him playing center. Snaps the ball over, comes in for one snap and sails it. And I feel like the holding penalties go through the roof every time he's on the field, but I'm constantly being told that he's the guy. He's a guy that we got to bring back for cheap depth on the offensive line. So that brings us to the end of step 2. We've now cleared cap space, and we've brought back the guys that we want to keep. Rolling right into step 3. Upgrade the coaching staff. We already know, we've been talking about it. Jonathan Gannon is going to get a head coaching job somewhere. Praise Jesus. All right. So we have a couple of options at defensive coordinator. Here's the thing. Nick Sirianni said he wants to bring everybody back. Doug Peterson said the same thing in 2016. He said he told his coaching staff and the press that everybody was coming back. We were bringing the whole band back together the following year, and they got fired. He met with Jeffrey Lurie, and they got fired. So just because Sirianni says he wants to bring everybody back, A, doesn't mean that that's going to happen, and B, doesn't mean that it should. If you're going to add, especially on the defensive side, we want to load up in the draft. We want to spend all this draft capital on defense, which I support. So we need to get somebody in here that can train these guys and at least teach them how to play zone, and then when a man comes through your zone, you got to pick him up. So you don't have people wide open in the middle of the field. So let's go out and get, we talked about Nick Fangio. We talked about Zimmer. Wink Martindale's another guy that I think is, one of the top guys available. Let's get somebody that can come in and run a top 10 offense or a top 10 defense. Please, there's no sense in bringing in all of this talent, and especially young talent. You want to get younger and faster on the defensive side. There's no point in bringing these guys in if you're not going to bring in a coordinator and some position coaches that can really work with these guys and elevate their game. So step 3, I really can't get over how important I think this step is. Michael Clay, I think, needs to be replaced. Special teams really didn't do us any favors this year, especially down the stretch. I don't know what you need Shane Steichen for. I guess I don't mind him as much, but I also don't know what he does because Sirianni calls the plays and Stoutland was really the one that brought the run game in. So I'm not sure what he does as offensive coordinator. But again, if you're going to be, you have some young playmakers already. You just brought in Devontae Smith last year. Is going to be, one of the best receivers in franchise history, I think. You're going to be looking at adding some more pieces this offseason. So let's get some guys in here that can really work with the young talent that we're putting together, and let's do something with it. All right? You with me so far? So that's the first 3 steps. We're going to clear the cap. Then we're going to bring people. We're going to decide who we want to bring back. Then we're going to go out and we're going to fill out this coaching staff. We're going to, at the very least, bring in the defensive coordinator, but hopefully we make some more upgrades where they're available. Man, I can't talk tonight. Step 4. This is the exciting one. This is the one we're going to be talking about for the next couple of weeks. Months, maybe. Weeks. Free agency. Again, we already cleared the cap. We got $30 million. Well, a little less because we re-signed some people. But we're going into free agency now. Now we got to make some moves. We got to make some upgrades. That's where we're at next. Free agency. Let's spend that money, son. Here's a couple of people I think we should look at. This is not in any specific order. We're just going to run through the list in the order that I made these notes. Again, it's not in the order like my wish list. This is no order. So Rashad Penny. Listen, I know he missed 26 games in 5 seasons, 16 of them were from a torn ACL in 2019. So he has missed a ton of games. All right, but he went off in the last 5 games this year. I think all but one of them were over 100, like well over 100 yards. And he's a between the tackle runner. He's a power back. He's got good vision. He's explosive. If you're not going to bring back Jordan Howard, I really think here's a guy that you could probably bring in for cheap that is younger, still more explosive. I know he's got the injury history, but you don't need him to run every down. You have that running back by committee. You're still going to have Sanders and Gainwell. Again, possibly Boston Scott. You still have the draft to bring somebody in. So if we need a guy between the tackles. We saw that with Jordan Howard. Again, I think it's a young guy you can go out, you can get for cheap. Second is Uchenna Nwosu. I think I said that right. Linebacker for the Chargers. Listen, in 2021, he had 40 tackles, 8 of them for a loss, 5 sacks, 17 QB hits. He forced 2 fumbles, broke up 2 passes, and had an interception. I think he's an immediate upgrade for Jannard Avery. We need linebackers. Again, I think this is a young guy you can get for not a ton of money. That's already an upgrade as soon as he comes in. Same thing on the defensive end, looking to upgrade. Marcus Williams, free safety for the Saints. Listen, he's going to be expensive. There's no two ways about it. He's one of the better free safeties in free agency. So you're going to have to spend, but he's got 15 picks in 4 seasons. We need a safety bad. We were in the market last year, didn't get anybody that showed this year. So we're going to have to go out this year and get one. That brings us to our next, Jesse Bates, another safety. Dude, I think he can be an elite level defensive back. He might already be. I know he's been trying to get a deal done in Cincy. They haven't been able to get that done. If they don't get him re-signed, if he hits free agency, he needs to be the first call that Nick makes. Again, we need a safety. We need secondary help. This guy's versatile. He covers well. He plays the ball. Again, I think you're going to have to spend. But if you're not, him or Marcus Williams, I would take. You need secondary help bad. And then obviously, we need a wide receiver. Would I love Devontae Adams? Absolutely. Do I think there's any chance he comes here? No. I think he's going to cost too much. I'm not sure why you would want to come here. Not why. I mean, you should want to come to Philly, but is he going to want to come? I doubt it. So, obviously, we would love him, but if you can't get him, there's a couple other guys. Allen Robinson. You got Gallup possibly. Juju Smith-Schuster might be available. Tim Patrick from Denver, he's got really good size, good hands. So there's a chance to go out and get a decent veteran to put alongside Devontae Smith. Again, I think there's a couple guys. Listen, Allen Robinson's had some terrible quarterback play, but he can be a bona fide number 1 wide receiver. You need to get somebody on the other side of Devontae to take some pressure off of him and also to help him develop. So these are a couple of guys that I think, again, you don't have a ton of cap, but if you're up around 30, you can get a couple of these guys. You still got to sign your picks, but even if you get 2 or 3 of them, I think they're immediate upgrades and they're big things that can help you. The final step, we're not really going to talk about too much tonight because we're going to spend a ton of time over the next couple of weeks talking about it. Obviously, that's the draft. We have 10 picks this year, including number 15, 16, and 19 overall. Then we got a second, third, fourth. So a ton of picks. We're going to spend a lot of time over the next, weeks and months talking about what we should do with them, who we should take. Should we trade, back this year? Should we trade back for next year? Should we package them and move up? There's so many options, and we're not going to really speculate about that tonight because we're going to have a lot of time to talk about it. So that's my 5-step plan to go from 9-8 to serious contenders next year. We got to clear cap space. We got to bring Jason Kelsey back, and a couple other guys, but mainly him. All right, we got to upgrade this coaching staff. We got to upgrade the roster through free agency, and then we got to hit this draft out of the park. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity with 10 picks, 3 first-rounders. We have got to nail this draft. Whatever we do, whether it's making picks or trading up or back, we got to nail it. If we can do all those things, we can have a good 2022 season. I know this year ended on kind of a shitty note, but there's a lot of things we can do moving forward. There's plenty of time to get better. Let's go! That's going to do it for us today. I'm your host, Dan from 94.1 WIP. Big shout out to Kate, helping us tonight. Whoop, whoop! As always, it's been the Pride Pretzels in Prison podcast, brought to you by the good people at Miller Service Center. Service you can trust. Quality you deserve. You already know. 717-442-8285. Thanks and have a great week, man.
The Pride Pretzels and Prison podcast.
I congratulate you for your brilliance. That was spectacular, Danny.